Hi everyone, my name's James Orme, editor of Techerati, and today I'm joined by Yiftach Shoolman, founder and CTO at NoSQL database management provider Redis Labs. Afternoon, Yiftach. Thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. The sun is finally shining in London, so things are looking up after 3 days of snow. Where are you joining us from?
I'm based in Israel, actually. And I actually took my second vaccine shot just yesterday. So I'm drinking water while speaking with you. I guess it is fine, yeah?
Yeah, no, excellent. Glad to hear it. I think I'm going to have to wait quite a few months before I get my vaccine shot. But I think both our countries are doing quite well by the looks of it. So let's hope the rest of the world can follow. Now, moving on to Redis Labs, which has enjoyed monumental growth in recent years, now boasts over 7,000 customers worldwide, I think, enjoying incredible success. Did you ever think Redis Labs would become this huge and have such an impact in enterprise IT way back in 2011 when you founded it?
So actually, it's almost 8,000. Yeah, let's be correct. Actually, frankly speaking, no, we didn't think that it will be such a huge success. And yeah, I think a lot of things happened. People realize that they can do a lot of stuff with Redis open source, and as the company behind the open source, as well as the company behind the Redis enterprise, we enjoy from that. I think the numbers are phenomenal, like 6 million launches a day just on Docker Hub with Redis. In our service, we have like 1,500 new databases every day. It is not 6 million, but it's also significant. We manage over 1.5 million database in total in the cloud. And we also have a lot of on-premise customers because, you know, unlike other cloud companies or database cloud companies in Redis, you need to be as close as possible to where your application lives. Otherwise, why should you use an in-memory database? So we are actually deployed everywhere, like on-premise, cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, all this kind of stuff.
And it's NoSQL database management that you guys provide, is that correct?
Yeah. People are starting to use different terms. Like we practically think that Redis is more like the real-time data platform. So everything associated with real-time you can do today with Redis. With the core data structure, as well as with all the nice modules that we added to Redis, like Redis Search that allow you to index and query your data, Redis JSON that allows you to model everything with JSON data type, Redis Graphs that allows you to do relations with data, and Redis Time Series that allows you to do everything that you want with time series. And also we have a lot of probabilistic data structure, etc., etc. So these are the ingredients that you need to have in order to have, I would say, modern database today to support all the modern data types. But a data platform is a bit different. It adds additional functionality, which if you want to summarize it in one word, is the programmability functionality. And for that, we added actually last year 2 very important programmability engines. One is called Redis Gears that allow you to program everything in Python or Java or in C in order to do multi-data models operation or multi-cluster, multi-nodes operation inside a single cluster. And the other one is Redis AI, which allows you to do fast inferencing of your existing AI model in Redis, closer to where your data lives. So practically by doing so, we managed to cover all the use case, all the major use cases that people are now dealing with application today. So the path that we took, in summarize, like we started as an enterprise caching system. The Redis itself was like a pure caching engine. It is no more today, and the open source. But the enterprise side, we started like an enterprise caching, real-time database, real-time data platform. Adding to that, what we can do with the enterprise is to deploy it across multiple data center, multiple clouds in an active manner, in a way that it doesn't matter where you are located. you will get the latency, the sub-millisecond latency of Redis, which is very unique. So you can deploy Redis across multiple regions, and every region will access the same data set at a millisecond speed.
And you mentioned real-time data and time series. Why are these concepts so important to modern companies and their digital transformation drives?
Yeah, you know, it's very funny that during the last 6 months, we were dealing with customers that couldn't do anything else if they don't use Redis. Like, I cannot, you know, I don't think that I can expose the names of every customer here, but let's say that customers that does, companies that does marketplaces for subcontractors, yeah, and every time they want to tailor their website according to the user in real time. And they use some algorithms that uses graph data structure behind the scenes. So if they try Neo4j or Neptune, they get a huge delay whenever they load, whenever someone browses to their site or use their application on mobile. So they have no choice actually, but to use Redis to do that. Or another companies that, gaming companies that decided to do community capabilities with graph data structure. So they just cannot use the delays that other databases provide. And graph is just one use case. Very large financial services decided to manage all their infrastructure with Redis time series. Again, just because, you know, there is no way to run real-time monitoring without it. We see a lot of traction, especially regarding the JSON data types that we provide and search, which allow you to do query on the top of it, etc., etc. So a lot of new use cases. Everyone needs the real-time capability, the end-to-end 100 millisecond response time from the time you click the button in your application until the time you get the first byte of the response.
Now, obviously, Redis has worked really hard to solve this need for real time. But what are some of the database problems that you perhaps haven't solved yet, or that perhaps you think probably need to be solved in 2021 and beyond?
So, you know, we will not try to solve all the problem of database. We will not provide any relational data structure in Redis because it's against the concept. So if someone wants relational, he can use it, but not with Redis. Consistency is a big topic around Redis because in the past, people used to say that Redis is not consistent because it doesn't have a well-defined solution for consistency. So last year, we announced a very nice project in the open source called Redis Raft, which actually allows Redis to work on Raft concept behind the scene. And we already passed the Jepson test, you know, the Jepson test, except from one bug that we had. This project is going to be GA in Redis 7 this summer, which practically means that Redis is fully reliable, fully consistent in any deployment, but we will not allow this to be deployed across multiple regions. This is because, you know, it doesn't make sense with Redis to have full consistency across, or strong consistency, I would say, not full consistency, strong consistency across multiple regions, because with that setup, every time you send a transaction, you need to wait to get acknowledged from the majority of the replica, which doesn't make sense with Redis because, you know, across the globe, if you do that, you can wait hundreds of milliseconds to get the acknowledge. Why should you use in-memory database as Redis? So the way we treat, I would say, global deployment or active deployment is with a technology called CRDT, which is, you know, academically proven, etc. It is now available. It's available in the enterprise for the last 3 years or so. And it allows you to do things very close to strong consistency, but it is not strong consistency by the book. But it's a trade-off, you know, if you want the speed, use Redis. If you want strong consistency and you're willing to pay like 1 second of latency for every query, use other databases.
And what sort of applications is that going to be most compelling for?
You know, everything. I mean, it's like, so the Raft is now tested across multiple very big financial services who actually took their traditional, I would say, mainframe application and can now run hundreds of thousands of operations per second in a fully consistent manner locally with Redis. And Redis in general, you know, everyone is using it, like the Uber of the world, the Robin Hood of the world, the Ito of the world, Facebook, Google, everyone is using it, mainly for caching. What we try to do with Redis Enterprise is to convince the world that if they use it as a caching, they will probably hit the wall with real-time use cases. And this is why we develop all these new capabilities in a source available manner. I mean, it is like open source, but cloud provider cannot create a service out of it. On the other hand, if you are an open source user, you can download it, use it, modify it, use it for your own need, no problem. You just cannot create a monetization service out of it for various reasons that I think today everyone understands.
Now, moving on from Redis just briefly, another huge success we can all agree on is your home nation, Israel's tech and innovation economy, which has exploded in recent years. Now, you yourself also served in the Israeli military as a developer. You helped develop broadband networking frameworks. What's it like for you to see Israel transition into such a tech powerhouse?
So first of all, let me just correct you a bit. I have a fighter background. I was fighting in one of the I was a fighter in one of the elite units in the Israel army. So I started programming actually before the army, and then when I get drafted, I stopped programming, did some real military stuff, and then continue with the programming career. Yeah, I must say, I think last year there were like almost over 20 new unicorns companies just in Israel, comparing to, I think, 40 or something like this in the US, which is like 30 times bigger than Israel. 30 times? Yeah, around something like this. And 6 or 5 companies in China and less than 5 in Europe. So we understand. So I think, you know, if you ask for the reason of it, it's the, I think it's the DNA of the Israelis, try to solve problems, real problems. It came from the roots of, our parents they were the founders of this country in a very problematic area, yeah, with too many enemies, etc., etc. And look what we managed to do in just 70 years, which is not a lot of time. And I think that Israeli likes to solve our problems. And I think this is one of the reasons that we are also succeeding we also see success in the high-tech area.
Now, lastly, Yiftach, big news in the cloud ecosystem, the cloud industry last week was that Andy Jassy was stepping down as CEO of AWS. What was your reaction when you heard the news?
Yeah, I think it is definitely a big news, but people don't really appreciate Andy Jassy if they are not in the tech sector. But for us, for people who were there since the cloud was born, I think it deserves a lot of appreciation. I mean, what this guy managed to do for the world and for Amazon specifically, and we all know that Amazon was not a profitable company before the cloud was invented. There is an interview that Jeff Bezos used to have in 2002 or 2003, and the interviewer asked him, "Can you please spell the word profit for me?" I don't know if you remember that. It's a big issue. So I think Andy actually, I guess Jeff Bezos was also involved, managed to do that in a very efficient way. So a lot of appreciation. I think that AWS as a company, if I can call it a company, if there is something that they need to improve a bit, is how they treat a large open source project and the companies behind it in a way that doesn't destroy these companies, because open source is eventually the root of innovations. And I would say that 3 or 4 years ago, we were in a much worse situation. I cannot say that everything is solved right now, but at least the atmosphere there is a bit different. I don't know if you know, when Salvatore stepped back for managing the open source Redis, we nominated like 3 people from Redis Labs to lead it, plus 2 other people, one from Amazon. This is Medley. She's a lady actually, and she's a great contributor to the open source. And the other guy is Azu from Alibaba. So on our end, we try to collaborate and with these guys and to give the appreciation for their team who contribute back to the open source. On the other end, cloud vendors need to find a way to better cooperate with open source, leading open source companies. And I think Azure and GCP are doing the right thing. I mean, they found a way to do the right collaboration. AWS, I hope they're on the way to do that, but they're still not there.
No, I can think we can all agree that the cloud wouldn't be where it was today without open source and all the contributors. So, well, thanks very much for joining us, Yiftach. That was great to talk to you, and I'll let you get on to enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks for speaking to Techerati.
Thank you, James. That was very nice. Thank you very much.